I'm going to try to show the pattern of wins in the NFL over the time it had a 16-game season. Currently, that's from 1978 through 2013. What I'm going to do is for each team, by the number of wins it has in a season, I'm going to use a circle. So if a team won 10 games in a season, I'm going to put a circle over 10. If a team had a tie game, I'm going to put half a circle at the number of wins and another half of a circle at the next number of wins up. So if a team has 11 wins and a tie, half a circle at 11, half a circle at 12. The green triangle indicates the number of games won by the team that won the Super Bowl during the regular season. The yellow triangle indicates the number of games won by the team that lost the Super Bowl. The 49ers in 2012 were the only team to tie a game and get to a Super Bowl. So they'll get half of a yellow triangle at 11 and another half of a yellow triangle at 12. The 1982 and 1987 season were strike seasons. They didn't play 16 games, they were a mess, and so I'm just going to ignore them. And this is what the NFL looks like from 1978 to 2013. The obvious point is that going from season to season, it's a complete mess. It appears to be completely disorganized. But if you add them all up, what happens? And what happens, in fact, is that you get this distribution, which is a pretty good distribution. It looks a little bit low at 3, looks a little bit high at 4, and looks a little bit high at 10. But other than that, it looks pretty good. The highest number of wins is at 8, which is, I think, what most people would expect. The purple columns now indicate which teams made it to the playoffs. And again, you get a fairly good distribution of how the teams got to the playoffs. The next distribution is the green is the teams that won the Super Bowl, the yellow is the team that lost the Super Bowl. And again, it doesn't actually look too bad, but it's a fairly small number and it's kind of hard to see much from it. This chart shows the probability of a team making the playoffs based upon the number of wins during the regular season. And now by eye, I'm going to drive a curve through them, and the curve looks pretty good. It looks like it makes sense. It picks up almost all the points, except for the 7-win team that made the playoffs, which was the Seattle Seahawks. This next chart shows the likelihood of getting to the Super Bowl once you've made the playoffs based upon the number of regular season wins. Now I'm going to try to draw a curve through it again by eye, and it looks fairly good. It's the number of teams at 9 games that got to the Super Bowl appears to be high. The other points don't appear to be too off. The one big exception is at 15 games. Now the curve I've drawn past 14 games is complete speculation. It's a guess. But almost any curve you would draw, it looks like at 15 games, at least 80% of the teams should have made it to the Super Bowl. In fact, only 40% did. Now that's 2 Super Bowls out of 5 teams. 5 teams is a small number. It can be erratic. Still looks a little peculiar though, just how far out it is. This chart shows the chance of winning the Super Bowl, assuming you've got there, based upon the number of regular season wins. And it makes no sense at all. It's 4-0 at 10. It's 2-0 at 15, so they were 100%. You're more likely to win a Super Bowl from the current set of games of teams that have played 16 games per season if you win 12 games than if you win 13 games, or even if you win 14 games. That makes no sense. And I think the only logical conclusion is that eventually it's all going to be 50-50. It's going to take a lot of time for enough games to be played, enough Super Bowls to be played, but I don't think there's going to be any difference. When you get to a Super Bowl, it doesn't make any difference how many games you won during the regular season. Winning more games during the regular season gets you to the Super Bowl more likely, but once you get to the Super Bowl, there's no increase in likelihood that you'll win it. A possible explanation for that is that teams that win more than 10 games aren't necessarily better in terms of quality of personnel, they're just more consistent. If you're a more consistent team, you're more likely to win games during the regular season. You're also more likely to get through a 2 or a 3 game playoff. When you get to the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. Consistency really doesn't count. It's a 1 game playoff. That is an explanation, may not be the right explanation.